Hi friends, so since we're learning about volcanoes in South America, I thought that we would read The Magic School Bus Blows Its Top. It started like any ordinary day in Miss Frizzle's class, but that doesn't mean much. There aren't any ordinary days in Miss Frizzle's class. That morning we were trying to put together an enormous globe, but we didn't have all the pieces, so the whole thing fell apart. "Carlos," said Dorothy Ann, her nose in the instruction book, "if you spent more time on research, you would know how to put the globe together." Carlos dusted himself off, "And if you didn't spend so much time doing research, you could have helped," he answered. Miss Frizzle looked over at the mess. "I'm afraid you can't put the globe together until you have all the pieces," she told us. "You see, there's an island so new it hasn't been discovered yet." "How can there be a new island?" asked Phoebe. "The earth never changes, does it?" "The earth is always changing," said Miss Frizzle, "right under our feet." We all looked down at our feet, but nothing was moving. Dorothy Ann wanted to find clues to the island in her books, but Carlos wanted us to search for the mystery on the island. That way we could name it. "What an explosive idea," said Miss Frizzle happily. "To the bus." "This is your captain speaking," announced Miss Frizzle when she settled aboard. "On behalf of my flight crew, I would like to thank you for flying the Magic School Bus." We knew what that meant. Quickly, we fastened our seatbelts. Then we put our seats in the upright position. The Magic School Bus began to spin and stretch and pull. The next thing we knew, we were high in the air. Soon we were flying over the ocean, and the sky grew dark and big black clouds floated past. "The island should be arriving any minute now," announced Miss Frizzle. How could an island just arrive, we wondered. But then thunder boomed and lightning striked across the sky. The ocean beneath us bubbled like a pot of boiling water. From out of nowhere, a blanket of dark ash covered our windows. "Prepare to land!" shouted Miss Frizzle. The bus grew surfboard pontoons, and we surfed to the stop right at the top of the water. We all climbed off the bus, and there was no land anywhere in sight, but Miss Frizzle had an inflatable life raft. Carlos jumped in first. Splash! A big wave splashed over the pontoon, sending Dorothy Ann's book bag flying out to sea. "I need my books to find that island," wailed Dorothy Ann as her books sank. "We have to get them. Please, Miss Frizzle, please." "Of course we'll get them," agreed Miss Frizzle. "Prepare to dive, class." Everyone climbed back onto the bus, and then the Frizz pressed a button and the Magic School Bus twisted into a submarine. Carlos decided to stay on the raft. He wanted to be the first to spot the island. Arnold stayed too, but for another reason. He had had enough of our class trip. We waved goodbye while Carlos, Arnold, and Liz buckled up their life jackets. "Batten down the hatches," the Frizz called out loudly. Down, down we went. Wow, we couldn't believe what we saw. A huge underwater mountain. Dorothy Ann spotted her book bag right away. It floated past the window on its way to the ocean floor and landed next to an old shipwreck. The bus scrunched it up tight, and then it shot us out like a cannon. Good thing we had on special diving suits. Dorothy Ann swam over to her book bag, but the strap was looped around a tentacle of a giant squid. "Ah!" Dorothy Ann screamed. The squid was swimming away. "It got my bag!" Just then the ocean floor began to tremble. The ship started to shake, and we heard a loud rumbling noise. "Earthquake!" We were so surprised we didn't even see Dorothy Ann's book bag when it floated past, pushed upward by a gas of bubbles. The bubbles floated to the top of the sea. Pop! The bubbles burst, letting out a terrible smell. "Look!" cried Carlos as he snatched up Dorothy Ann's book bag. "Maybe we can find out what's going on by reading Dorothy Ann's books." Meanwhile, the Frizz was trying to cheer up Dorothy Ann. "There's more than one way to discover an island," she said brightly. So we all dived deeper into the ocean. Brr, it was getting cold. Even the bus shivered. Then we noticed something strange. There was a funny-looking chimneys in the ground, and they were warm. Phoebe poked her head in close and poof, got a face full of soot. Keisha swam to the deep canyon on the ocean floor. It was shaped like a V. "Maybe D.A.'s books fell down there," she said. "There's only one way to find out," said Miss Frizzle. We swam back to the bus, and soon we were heading down into a canyon. But there's no space for us down there. Rumble, rumble, another earthquake hit, and at the bottom of the canyon, the rocky floor began to slide right underneath another plate. Above us, the ocean waves grew rougher, but Carlos barely noticed. He was too busy reading. "It says right here the Earth's surface is made up of layered, crust-like plates of rock that fit together like a jigsaw puzzle," he told Arnold. "These plates move very, very slowly, but sometimes one plate slides under another, and when it slides, we actually feel the Earth move." That's what the canyon was, 2 giant plates of rock. They were sliding together, creating an earthquake. And leave it to the Miss Frizzle to squeeze us right between them. The magic school bus shuddered and groaned and grunted. It stretched like a long, thin rubber band, and so did we. As one plate shoved under the other, we squeezed in between. Now we oozed through the hot, swirling liquid deep beneath the earth. "It's so hot," said Keisha, fanning herself. "The rocks in the crust are melting." "Melted rock is called magma," explained Miss Frizzle. Dorothy Ann wrinkled her nose. She was trying to figure it all out. She remembered the chimneys and the heat underneath the ocean floor. "The earthquakes and the mountain. We're under an underwater volcano," she shouted. Geysers shot up to the sky. Water hissed all around the raft. The rumbling noise grew louder, and Carlos waved his books excitedly. He figured out that very same thing. Under the volcano, the magma pushed us up, 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 and soon we were rising up in a big blob of boiling hot bubbles. "Welcome to the magma chamber," said Miss Frizzle, "the heat of the volcano." The pressure grew stronger and stronger, and the magma rose higher, and Ralphie gulped. "How do we get out of here?" he asked. "Out of a volcano?" Miss Frizzle repeated. "How do you suppose?" Dorothy Ann was too excited to be scared. "When all this magma shoots up, it hits the air and it cools down, right?" she asked Miss Frizzle. "Absolutely," said Miss Frizzle. "And when it cools, it'll harden into rock." "Eventually," Miss Frizzle agreed. "And the new rock will build up to the top of the volcano," Dorothy Ann continued, "until it sticks out of the water. It will be a new island." "Yes!" Miss Frizzle shouted. Just then, we shot up through the bubbling magma like a rocket ship. Higher and higher, close to the top. Clunk! We jolted to a stop. "Oh no!" cried Dorothy Ann. "We stopped rising." "Something must be plugging up the volcano," said Keisha. "And the magma's squeezing us," Phoebe exclaimed. Carlos had no idea we were in such a tight spot. He still had his head buried in Dorothy Ann's books. "A lot of stuff is blown out of volcanoes when it erupts," said Arnold. "Volcanic ash and dust and rocks." And just then, volcanic ash and dust and rocks rained down. "And then lava," Carlos finished triumphantly. "Put it all together and you get a—" "Out of here!" Arnold explained in panic. "No," Carlos repeated. "You get Carlos Island." Meanwhile, we jumped into the anti-magma chamber and were pushing the plug with all our might, but it wouldn't budge. That's when Miss Frizzle and the Magic School Bus went into action. They rammed the plug again and again, and kapow! The plug popped out, and the magma bolted into glowing clouds of ash and rock. And then it all billowed down with a rush of steam. What a sight! Red hot lava poured down the sides of the volcano, and the volcano grew bigger and bigger. It was an island. Whee! We landed! Plop into the raft. And then the volcano belched out one last time the Magic School Bus, and it whooshed into the air. A parachute opened, and the bus drifted down with a soft landing in the water. "To Carlos Island," said Carlos as he rowed over to the brand new island. "I discovered it with the help of Dorothy Ann's books." "Carlos Island? You mean Dorothy Ann Island," Dorothy Ann corrected. "I discovered it, and for once I didn't need my books. But someone else had landed there first." Ta-da! Look who landed there, the little lizard. So when Carlos and Dorothy Ann decided to write a book about their experiences, they knew exactly what to call it. "Lizard Island" by Carlos and Dorothy Ann, said Carlos. "Don't you mean Lizard Island by Dorothy Ann and Carlos?" said Dorothy Ann. The end.